All right, what is up? We got a very special delivery. We got a brand new set of BC Racing Coilovers. Now, we're here at the Hand Tight Racing Shop. If you don't follow them already on YouTube, please go do that. I'll leave a link in the description. Very nice to be able to have the car and trailer here to be able to work on it. So today we're going to be installing a new set of BC Racing Coilovers. We've been running BC on the car for the last like 12 years. They handle great, they're awesome. I've had zero issues, and this was a gift. So who doesn't like a good upgrade? I'm very excited to get these unboxed and installed on the car. We're supposed to go drifting tomorrow, so we're kind of under the clock. Should be exciting. So we'll go ahead and start unboxing this. Yeah, that's nice. That's super nice. That's definitely a front coilover. Near rear coil. And the rear shock. Also very exciting. I just love how heavy duty it all feels. Like, you know, you're gonna expect that with car suspension, but you just feel the quality. Yeah. That's nice. These things just look absolutely beautiful. They look great. I love the black and gold, the signature BC colors. But these rear spring perches, this is a new design, and you know, it's very simple, but it's a very smart idea. It's kind of known that on the new Edge Mustangs, the awkward angle of the rear control arm, the rear spring kind of sits funky on it. So again, easy design, but very cool if they thought of that. And then even the upper part, you know, now they've got a new design for the height adjustment. Very nice. Before, it's actually the adjustments on the bottom. Now they've moved the adjustment to the top, so that way it kind of sits better in the actual spring bucket. Again, just constantly improving the game, making it much better for us new Edge Mustang guys. Could not be more excited to get these installed on the car. So for now, we will get the car up in the air. We'll get into hovercraft mode, you know, just get up on jack stands, get all four wheels off, so that way we can start, you know, getting the old coilovers off, get the new ones on, and well, it's pretty straightforward, but not too hard of a task. But we still have to do an alignment after that, and maybe fix our ride height, because the car sits a little too low at the moment. So when we put the new ones on, we'll definitely correct that ride height. So here we go. slightly more involved, only just because we have to like drop the control arm, whatever. But yeah, we'll start with the front. I'll get those old ones taken out, get the new ones put in, then we'll go to the rear. Again, I've had these coilovers for a very long time. I've had them on a couple different cars, and they've always done me good. Never had any issues with them. You know, they're dirty right now because, you know, they've been used and abused. They've definitely been tested. So, all right, so we'll go ahead and unbolt the coilover from the knuckle. The bolt itself is a 21 millimeter, and the nut is a 24. So hopefully we can sneak these in there. All right, so these upper bolts are a 14 millimeter. And as you start to unscrew them, you do want to hold the control arm or strut at the bottom, so that way it doesn't drop and damage itself. There we go. Alright, so that didn't take us very long. Old coilovers are out. Again, very dirty. Kind of gross. But compared to the new ones. One thing that I learned. So, these little numbers on the side of the spring actually have a meaning. So, 62 inner diameter, 220 length, and then an 8K spring. So one of the cool upgrades about our new coilovers is that these are going to be a 12K spring to help kind of stiffen up the front, help make up for a lack of sway bar in the front of the car. So should actually get quite a handling upgrade. Very exciting. All right, so we're going to go ahead and remove the rear coilovers, or actually just the rear shock, but we've got the axle supported. The bolt itself is a 15 millimeter, the nut 18. All right, so now the upper shock mount for the rear. You just gotta unscrew the little valve adjustment, and he comes out. And then that upper bolt, it's a 17 millimeter. All right, so had a little bit of change. There's actually a hex fitting inside the shaft of the shock. So I just had to find the right size that fit that, and then just using a adjustable wrench to loosen it the rest of the way. Alright, so now we have all the old suspension out of the car. Again, kind of taking a look at it. Here's our rear shocks and the old rear coils. Again, kind of going on the old perch. Like, again, very simple, nothing wrong with this. It definitely works, and you know, it does give you some height adjustment for the car. But with the new design, they definitely expanded on it. And again, it's simple, but it's such a better design. So very excited about that. Again,
looking at the old shock, you can see how it's just, you know, straight down right here. They kind of offset it, again, making it a little better, a little easier to install, a little more functional for how weak those rear shock supports are on the axle.
So here I'm pointing out some of the visual similarities between the two coilovers, but the biggest difference is actually going to be on the inside. The old coilovers were a BR series suspension. It's going to have a more linear dampening. It makes it much better for daily use and spirited driving, where the new set is a DS series suspension. It's going to have a more digressive dampening curve, making it much better for high and low speed impacts, more suited to track use.
Alright, so measuring the old coilovers to the new ones, not the most scientific measurement, but it's what I got at the moment. It was kind of like 19.5 from the top plate to the bottom of the mount. New one, it's about 20.5. So we did need to lift the front of the car anyways, so that kind of works out. We'll see how it sits once it's actually installed on the car, but that should be good. Alright, so we got new coilover. We'll go ahead and start getting this mounted. Again, kind of reverse process of before. Just gotta lift it in. Real careful. Alright, and then we got our bolts cleaned up. Got the old thread locker out of them. And yeah, just cleaned them up. That way they're easier to work with. So we'll go ahead and get these tightened down to the knuckle. Again, the bolt is a 21 millimeter. The nut is a 24 millimeter. Put a little dab of Loctite in there before we get too far. And then we'll get this tightened down, we'll get torqued. It's between 135 and 150 foot-pounds. I think we'll just go to the bottom end, we'll do 135. 150 sounds like a lot. Alright, and then we'll get the upper mounts tightened, thread locked, tightened, and torqued. Now these upper mount bolts are only 25 foot-pound torque. You gotta be careful because I have stripped these out before, so don't do that. Alright, there we go. Top's mounted, bottoms Loctite, tightened, and torqued, and looks absolutely gorgeous. Those new coilovers are awesome. So now I just gotta repeat the process for the other side. Alright, so we just got the spring sitting in place right now. Again, we have our height adjuster on the top. We've got the lower perch. It was an absolute perfect fit for the control arm. And you know, these are aftermarket, these are Max Motorsport control arms. And between the BC and Max Motorsport, it was absolutely perfect fitment. So again, it's just sitting here in place. We have to get the shock put in, and then we can kind of jack the axle up so that way this will sit in its little perch. So get the other spring on the other side. We'll start getting the shocks put in. I don't know if it's as important for these, but just making sure that the pigtail of the spring is facing backwards. I know in the past that's been kind of important when I did lowering springs for these cars, but we'll go ahead and repeat that for these. So, yeah. Pretty nice. Now what we're doing here is setting preload. This was new to me, so it was really nice to have my buddy Davey help me out. Preload is the set amount of load on the spring without any weight on it. So you're measuring the length of the spring as is, and then putting in place, jacking up the rear axle till you just have a few millimeters of compression on the spring, and then you'll rotate that lower shock mount until it meets the axle. It is a little more important for a divorced coilover setup like this, so that way when the axle's at full droop, that spring doesn't go anywhere. Davey did one side, and then I just repeated the process on the driver's side. It's been a while since I've done the rear shocks on this car, so yeah, it took a little bit of figuring out, but we got them put in. They do fit nicely, so now we just have to Loctite, tighten, and torque to spec. And then this lower shock bolt is torqued to 85 foot-pounds. Now, one thing about this side that took me just a little bit of thinking, had to use my brain a little bit, was I had to turn the body around so that way it would actually fit with the actual shock mount. The body was coming in contact with it and it would shove it out. Once I realized I just had to turn it around, it fit perfect. There's plenty of space for it to actually mount. So just had to use my brain for a moment. Not used to that. We'll get the thread lock, get it tightened, and torque to spec. What's up? Alright, so new day. We've made it to the track. We just got done doing string alignment for the race car. It was quite tedious. It took us quite a while, but our new suspension should be all aligned. We're gonna go test it out on the oval before our session starts at 11:30. So